I never thought slipping into her world would change me so completely. It started as something small, something playful, something that should have been forgotten the moment it ended. But here I am replaying every second in my head as if it's branded onto me. The memory begins with her laughter, light, careless and teasing. I remember sitting on the edge of her bed surrounded by piles of clothes I had no business touching. She tilted her head at me with that mischievous smile, the one that always made me feel like she knew my secrets even before I spoke them. "Come on," she said, "just trust me this once. I promise you'll look unreal." Her words still echo in my chest. Unreal. At that moment I didn't know whether to laugh or run. But neither option happened. Instead I froze, caught in her gaze like some fragile thing waiting to be molded. I wish I could say I knew how I got there, but the truth is I didn't. 1 second I was just her best friend, the boy who carried her shopping bags and listened to her heartbreak stories. The next I was sitting there staring at a dress she swore was perfect for me. And here's the strangest part, my heart wasn't screaming no. It was whispering something else. Something dangerous. Something thrilling. When she finally held up the mirror and I saw what she had done, the room seemed to vanish. The bed, the posters on her wall, even her laughter, it all blurred into nothing. All I saw was me, or at least someone who looked like me but softer, gentler, almost like the version of myself I never dared to imagine. And that's where the story really begins. Because once you see yourself like that, once someone styles you not as their friend but as their girlfriend, you can't go back to pretending you never wondered. My name's Daniel, but most people just call me Dan. To be honest, there's nothing too remarkable about me. I'm that quiet kid who slips through the halls at school without drawing much attention, the one who sits at the back of the classroom and doodles instead of raising his hand. If you asked my teachers to describe me, they'd probably say polite, maybe a little reserved. And they wouldn't be wrong. But there was one person who always seemed to notice me no matter how invisible I tried to be, her. Her name's Lily. She's the kind of person you notice even if you're trying not to. Loud in the best way, always laughing, always with something clever to say. She has this energy that fills up a room, so when you're standing next to her it feels like you're in the middle of a storm, but in a good way. The kind of storm that shakes you awake. We'd been best friends since middle school. Which is funny because on paper we couldn't be more different. She loved attention, I avoided it. She experimented with fashion, dyed her hair different colors every few months, wore rings on every finger. I wore hoodies and sneakers like some kind of uniform. And yet we fit together. She liked talking, I liked listening. She liked trying new things, I liked being dragged along because with her it always felt safe somehow. Our friendship had rules though. At least unspoken ones. She'd tell me about her crushes, but I never told her about mine. She'd borrow my hoodie when she was cold, but I never asked why it made my heart pound when she did. She once called me the brother she never had, and I laughed with her even though the word brother stung more than I wanted to admit. Life was simple with Lily. Or at least it used to be. That summer everything began to shift in ways I couldn't quite explain. Maybe it was the long warm nights or the fact that we were older now, on the edge of something bigger, college looming ahead like an open door. Maybe it was because I noticed the way people looked at her when we walked into a cafe together, or the way she started asking my opinion on her outfits as if what I thought actually mattered. But whatever the reason, that's when the first crack appeared in the safe little world we had built. It started with something small one afternoon in her room. She was standing in front of her mirror trying on different tops, tossing them into a pile on her bed with dramatic sighs. "Why is nothing working?" she groaned, pulling at her hair. "I swear I own like 20 shirts and not a single one looks right." I was lying across her bed scrolling through my phone, pretending not to notice the way she looked in each one. "They all look fine," I muttered. She spun around, narrowing her eyes at me. "Fine? That's the best you've got? Dan, you're supposed to be my best friend. You can't just say fine." I shrugged. "You look good in all of them. What do you want me to say?" She grinned and plopped down beside me, stealing my phone, so I had to look at her. "I want you to say something real. Like, well, Lily, you look amazing in that one. Or, that's totally your color." She smirked. You know, like a boyfriend would. Her words were a joke. I knew they were. But they landed in my chest like a spark catching dry grass. I laughed it off, shaking my head. But she kept watching me, her smile lingering like she knew something I didn't. And that's when it began. Subtle little comments here and there, little tests that at first felt harmless. But looking back, I realized they were stepping stones leading me somewhere I never expected to go. A few days later, I found myself back in Lily's room like always. Her place had practically become my second home. Her mom didn't even knock anymore when I came over, she just called out "Hi Dan" from the kitchen like I was part of the family. Lily's room was a reflection of her chaos and her charm all at once. Posters of bands we used to listen to in middle school hung half-peeled from the walls, fairy lights dangled unevenly across her shelves, and clothes were scattered everywhere like fallen leaves. To anyone else it might have looked like a mess, but to me it was familiar, comforting. That day she was rummaging through her closet while I sat cross-legged on the floor flipping through one of her fashion magazines. "You know," she said, her voice muffled from inside the closet, "sometimes I think you'd make a better model than me." I looked up, frowning. "What are you talking about?" She popped her head out, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "You've got the face for it. Sharp jaw, soft eyes. If someone put you in the right clothes no one would even know." I rolled my eyes and tossed the magazine aside. "Yeah, right." But she didn't laugh it off. Instead, she stepped closer, tilting her head as if she was really studying me. "No, I mean it. You'd clean up nice." Then with a grin she added, "Maybe nicer than me." My stomach tightened at the thought. I tried to hide it by reaching for my phone, but she wasn't letting go of the moment. She sat down beside me, her shoulder brushing mine. "Why do you always do that?" "Do what?" "Shrink away whenever someone notices you. You act like it's a crime to stand out." Her words hit harder than I expected. I didn't know how to explain that blending in was easier, safer. When people didn't notice you, they couldn't judge you. They couldn't laugh. So I just muttered, "I don't know," and hoped she'd let it go. But Lily wasn't the type to let things go. She leaned back on her hands, smiling at me in that way that made it impossible to look away. "One of these days I'm gonna prove it. I'll make you stand out and you won't even recognize yourself." I laughed nervously. "Good luck with that." And that was it. The moment passed. She started talking about a concert she wanted to go to, and I pretended to be absorbed in my phone again. But her words stayed with me. Maybe because they weren't just words. With Lily they never were. The rest of that summer followed the same rhythm. Hanging out in her room, eating too many snacks, watching late-night movies neither of us paid attention to. But little things kept shifting. Like how she started comparing our hands, saying mine were too pretty to waste on video games. Or how she once dragged eyeliner across my wrist to show me how flattering dark lines could look against my skin. It was always disguised as a joke, but each time I felt that spark again, that dangerous thrill in my chest I didn't know how to name. Then one afternoon, as we sat in her backyard soaking up the fading sunlight, she turned to me with that same mischievous smile. "Hey Dan, do you trust me?" I hesitated because with Lily that question could mean anything. But in the end I nodded. "Yeah, of course." "Good," she said. "Because I have an idea." And just like that, the ground beneath my ordinary quiet life began to shift. When Lily said she had an idea, I should have known better than to agree so easily. With her, ideas usually meant trouble, the kind that left me blushing or embarrassed while she laughed until her stomach hurt. That evening she pulled me upstairs into her room like she was planning a secret mission. She shut the door behind us, leaned against it, and crossed her arms. "Okay, so hear me out." I raised an eyebrow. "This already sounds suspicious." "Relax," she said, grinning. "It's nothing bad. I think you need a confidence boost. And lucky for you, I happen to be very skilled in that area." I groaned and sank onto her bed. "Why do I feel like this is going to end badly for me?" "Because you're dramatic," she shot back. Then she dropped onto the bed beside me, lowering her voice like she was about to share state secrets. "I want to style you. Like actually put together a whole look. Just once. For fun. I blinked at her. Style me? Like clothes? Clothes, hair, maybe a little makeup if you're brave enough, she said casually, as though she was suggesting we grab ice cream, not turn my entire identity upside down. You always hide in the background, Dan. But I swear if you just let me take over for one afternoon, people wouldn't even recognize you. In a good way. My immediate instinct was to laugh it off. But the way she was looking at me stopped me. Her eyes weren't just teasing this time. They were curious, almost daring. Like she wanted to see what I'd do if I stopped hiding. I shook my head. Lily, come on. That's ridiculous. Why? She asked, leaning closer. What's the worst that could happen? You'll look amazing and then we'll laugh about it. Or you'll hate it and we'll never talk about it again. No harm done. I opened my mouth to protest, but nothing came out. Because part of me, the part one didn't like admitting existed, was intrigued. The idea of seeing myself differently, of stepping out of the shadows even just once, it tugged at something deep inside me. She must have seen the hesitation on my face because she suddenly brightened. That's not a no, she said triumphantly. Which means you're considering it. I groaned, covering my face with my hands. You're impossible. Maybe, she said, laughing, but I'm also right. Trust me, Dan. Let me do this. Just once. The conversation ended with me pretending I hadn't agreed. But she knew me too well. She could see it in my eyes, in the way I didn't say no. That night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Her words, her smile, the way she said you'd look unreal. I told myself it was just Lily being Lily, playful and over the top. But deep down I knew something had shifted. Because maybe for the first time I wanted to see what she saw. And that's where the stage was set. A simple idea planted in a messy bedroom on an ordinary summer night. An idea I thought I could brush aside and forget. But I was wrong. Because that idea was about to change everything. A week passed before Lily brought it up again. I had almost convinced myself she'd forgotten the whole styling me thing. But Lily never forgot an idea once it took root in her head. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind where the sun hung heavy in the sky and the air buzzed with the lazy warmth of summer. I had barely stepped through her door when she grabbed my wrist with a grin. Today's the day. I frowned. The day for what? She rolled her eyes. Don't play dumb. You promised you'd let me style you. I never promised, I began, but she cut me off. You didn't say no. That counts. Before I could argue, she was already pulling me up the stairs 2 at a time. I stumbled after her, protesting half-heartedly, but deep down I knew resistance was pointless. Lily had that determined glint in her eye, the one that meant I was doomed. Her room looked different when we entered. Clothes were spread across the bed in neat piles, not her usual chaos. A small bag of makeup sat open on her desk, brushes sticking out like paint tools waiting for a blank canvas. And then I realized with a sinking feeling, I was the canvas. Sit, she ordered, pointing at her desk chair. Lily, this is ridiculous, I muttered, though I sat down anyway, my heart pounding. Ridiculous is my specialty, she said cheerfully. She tied her hair up in a messy bun like she meant business, and then stood in front of me, arms crossed. Okay, ground rules. You can back out if you really hate it. But you're not allowed to complain until we're finished. Deal? I hesitated. Every nerve in my body screamed to run, but my voice betrayed me. Deal. Her smile widened. Good boy. She started with my hair, running her fingers through it, humming softly to herself. I stared at the floor, trying not to notice how close she was or how her touch sent shivers racing down my arms. She pinned a few strands back, experimenting, twisting them one way then another. You've got good hair, you know, she said thoughtfully. Soft. People would kill for this texture. People? Or you? I asked weakly. She smirked in the mirror. Maybe me. Next came the makeup. I tensed when she uncapped a small pencil, but she just laughed. Relax. It's eyeliner, not a weapon. Feels like one, I muttered as she leaned closer, steadying my chin with her hand. Her concentration was intense as she drew careful strokes along my lash line. Don't blink, she warned. My heart thudded so hard I thought she'd feel it through her fingertips. When she finally leaned back, she grinned. See? Not so scary. I glanced at the mirror and froze. The change was subtle but undeniable. My eyes looked sharper, brighter, like they were speaking louder than I ever had. Something twisted in my stomach, fear, excitement both tangled into one. But Lily wasn't done. She moved to the bed, grabbing something from the pile of clothes. When she held it up, I nearly choked. A dress. Absolutely not, I said instantly. She raised an eyebrow. Why not? Because it's a dress. Very observant, she said dryly. Then her voice softened. Come on, Dan. Just for a minute. I picked this one for a reason. I shook my head. No way. She stepped closer, holding it out like a peace offering. It's not about the dress. It's about showing you what I see. Trust me. The room was quiet except for the pounding in my chest. Her eyes held mine, steady, calm, full of something I couldn't name. And against every instinct I reached out and took it. The dress felt impossibly light in my hands, softer than anything I usually wore. I held it like it might burn me if I gripped too tightly. Lily watched with that patient but mischievous smile of hers, the kind that told me she already knew how this would end. I can't believe I'm doing this, I muttered. You can thank me later, she said, spinning around so her back was to me. Go on, change. I won't look. My throat tightened. Every cell in my body screamed that this was wrong, that I should drop the dress, make a joke, and walk out. But my legs didn't move. My fingers trembled as I slipped out of my hoodie and jeans, feeling strangely exposed under her fairy lights. Pulling the dress over my head was awkward at first, the fabric clung in ways my usual clothes never did. It slid over my shoulders, down my chest, falling just above my knees. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Done? Lily's voice floated over her shoulder. I think so, I whispered. She turned around slowly, and when her eyes landed on me, something shifted. Her grin softened into something else, something warmer, almost proud. Dan, she breathed. You look unreal. I laughed nervously, hugging my arms across my chest. Yeah, right. No, I mean it, she said firmly. She stepped closer, circling me like an artist studying her work. See? I told you. You're pulling this off better than half the girls I know. Heat rushed to my cheeks. I wanted to argue, to tell her she was exaggerating, but the words wouldn't come. She tugged me gently toward the mirror. I resisted for a second, afraid of what I'd see. But her hand on mine was steady, reassuring. And then I saw it. For a heartbeat, I didn't recognize the reflection staring back. The dress framed my shoulders, softened the lines of my body. The eyeliner made my eyes look alive in a way I'd never noticed before. It wasn't just me in the mirror, it was someone new, someone strange and yet familiar. That can't be me, I whispered. It is, Lily said softly, standing just behind me, her chin almost resting on my shoulder. This is what I've been trying to tell you. You've been hiding all this time, Dan. But look. This is you too. My chest tightened, a cocktail of fear and wonder battling inside me. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. It was like meeting a secret version of myself I didn't know existed. Lily reached up and adjusted a stray lock of my hair. See? Perfect. Her touch lingered for just a moment too long, and I caught her reflection watching me with something unreadable in her eyes. Then she smiled again, playful but gentle. Come on, she said, stepping back. Let's add just one more thing. Before I could protest, she grabbed a thin necklace from her dresser and clasped it around my neck. The metal was cool against my skin. Somehow, that tiny detail completed the picture. When I looked at myself again, my breath caught. It wasn't just dress up anymore. It felt real. And that terrified me. I turned away, tugging at the hem of the dress. Okay, you had your fun. Can I change back now? Lily tilted her head, studying me. If you really want to. But, she hesitated, then added, doesn't part of you want to stay like this a little longer? I froze. Because the truth was, yes. And that scared me even more than the dress. I should have said yes. I should have laughed it off, made a sarcastic comment, and scrambled back into my hoodie and jeans. That's what the old me would have done. That's what felt safe. But instead I stood there frozen, staring at Lily like she had just peeled back a layer of me I didn't even know was there. Lily, I started, my voice shaky. This isn't me. She crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing with that familiar fire. You keep saying that, Dan. But what if it is you? What if you've been hiding behind hoodies and sarcasm so long you don't even recognize yourself? Her words stung, not because they were cruel, but because they were too close to the truth. I looked down at the dress, at the way the fabric moved when I shifted, the way the necklace caught the light against my skin. My chest tightened. People would laugh. If anyone saw me like this? They're not here, she interrupted gently. It's just us. No one else needs to know. This isn't about them, it's about you. Her voice had softened, almost like she was afraid to scare me off. She stepped closer and rested her hand lightly on my arm. Dan. I wouldn't push this if I didn't think it mattered. For a moment I couldn't breathe. The room was too small, the air too heavy. 1,000 thoughts raced through my head. What if she was right? What if I liked this more than I should? What if it changed things between us? And beneath all that fear was something else, something dangerous. A flicker of excitement. I feel ridiculous, I muttered. You look incredible, she corrected. I glanced at the mirror again. My reflection looked back with wide eyes, nervous but different. Almost like they belonged to someone braver. Someone freer. Lily grinned suddenly, breaking the tension. Okay. Walk. What? Walk. You can't just stand there like a mannequin. You've got to move in it. Trust me, it makes all the difference. I groaned, covering my face with my hands. This is humiliating. She tugged at my wrist until I dropped them. No, it's not. It's only humiliating if you decide it is. Come on, just a few steps. So I did. Hesitant, awkward, my shoulders hunched. But when the fabric swayed with my movement, when Lily clapped her hands dramatically and declared, yes. Perfect. I felt something loosen inside me. A laugh escaped my lips. A real one. Nervous, but real. See, she said triumphantly. Told you. I shook my head, trying to hide the smile tugging at my mouth. You're insane. Maybe, she said. But you're the one who just pulled off that walk like a natural. I wanted to deny it, to retreat back into the safety of self-deprecation. But the truth was undeniable. For those few steps, I didn't feel ridiculous. I felt alive. And that terrified me more than anything. I sank back onto her bed, tugging the hem of the dress over my knees. Okay. Enough. Seriously. This never happened. She tilted her head, studying me. Then, softly, she said, it happened. And I think it meant something to you, whether you admit it or not. Her words hung in the air long after she turned away to tidy the clothes. And as much as I wanted to bury the moment, I couldn't. Because she was right. Something had happened. Something I couldn't take back. I thought once I changed back into my jeans and hoodie the feeling would fade. I thought I could shove the memory into a corner of my mind and pretend it was just another one of Lily's wild ideas, nothing more. But I was wrong. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw my reflection, softer, sharper, alive in a way I didn't recognize. The way the necklace caught the light, the way Lily had looked at me, not mocking, not teasing, but like she was proud. The next morning, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror longer than usual. I tugged at my hair, wondering what Lily had meant when she said people would kill for its texture. I touched my eyelashes, still faintly darkened where the eyeliner hadn't completely washed off. It was subtle, barely there, but enough to remind me of what I'd looked like under her fairy lights. And for reasons I didn't want to admit, I missed it. I tried to distract myself, video games, chores, scrolling endlessly through my phone. But it was like a song stuck in my head, looping endlessly. That wasn't me, I told myself. That's not who I am. And yet, what if it could be? Lily, of course, didn't let it go. 2 days later we were sprawled across her living room couch watching some reality show she swore was research for her future as a fashion icon. I wasn't paying much attention until she nudged me with her elbow. So, she said casually, eyes still on the screen. Have you thought about it? My stomach dropped. About what? She smirked, finally looking at me. Don't play dumb, Dan. About the other night. I shifted uncomfortably. It was just a joke. Her eyebrow arched. Really? Because you didn't look like you were joking when you saw yourself in the mirror. Heat rushed to my face. I was just surprised, okay? It was weird. That's all. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Weird doesn't always mean bad. I had no comeback for that. For the rest of the episode she let the subject drop, but her knowing smile never faded. And every time I caught her looking at me, my chest tightened. The build-up didn't happen in one big leap. It happened in little moments. Like when she painted her nails and, without asking, grabbed my hand and brushed one finger with a streak of glossy black. See? Not so scary, she said, while I stared at my hand like it belonged to someone else. Or the time she pulled me into a thrift store just to look and held up a skirt against my waist, tilting her head like she was imagining how it would fit. I shoved it away, my face burning, but she only laughed. One day, she teased. Each moment chipped away at the wall I'd built around myself. Each laugh, each joke, each gentle push dragged me closer to something I couldn't define. And though I tried to act annoyed, deep down I knew the truth. Part of me wanted her to keep pushing. The next push came on a Thursday evening. I'd dropped by Lily's after dinner like I usually did, expecting our normal routine of snacks, jokes, and whatever show she was binging that week. But the moment I walked into her room, I knew something was up. The piles of clothes were gone. Everything was neat, almost too neat. A single outfit lay across the bed, carefully chosen, waiting. I froze in the doorway. Oh no. What is this? She looked up from where she was sitting at her desk, grinning like she'd been caught red-handed. What? A surprise. Lily, I said warningly. Don't look at me like that, she teased. It's nothing crazy. Just, phase 2. I sighed, shutting the door behind me. Phase 2 of what? Of proving you wrong. She hopped up and held the outfit against me, a simple top, slim jeans, and a light jacket, not even close to a dress. See? Totally casual. No one would even blink. I struggled for words. That's not even my style. Exactly, she said with a wink. Which is why it'll be fun. I groaned, but she was already thrusting the clothes into my arms. Come on. Humor me. Just once more. I wanted to say no. I really did. But something about the way she looked at me, excited, hopeful, like she was waiting to unwrap a gift, made it impossible. Changing felt easier this time. Not effortless, but less terrifying than before. The jeans fit snugger than anything I'd ever worn, and the jacket gave me a sleekness I wasn't used to. When I stepped out of the bathroom, Lily's eyes lit up instantly. Yes, she said, clapping her hands. See what I mean? You look amazing. I crossed my arms, trying to hide the way my cheeks burned. You're exaggerating. She shook her head. Nope. You're just scared to admit it. She made me stand in front of the mirror again, and though it wasn't as dramatic as the dress, I couldn't deny the difference. My frame looked longer, leaner. My reflection looked confident, almost. Something I'd never seen in myself before. Lily tilted her head, studying me with a sly smile. You know, if you walked down the street like this, people wouldn't even do a double take. You'd blend right in. That made my stomach twist. Wait, you're not actually suggesting. Why not, she said, grinning wider. A quick walk. Just to test it out. I backed away instantly. No way. Absolutely not. Come on, she coaxed. It's dark outside. Hardly anyone's around. Just one lap around the block. I'll be with you the whole time. My pulse quickened. The idea terrified me. It wasn't just dress up anymore, it was stepping into the world, letting strangers see me like this. Lily, I whispered. I can't. She softened then, her grin fading into something gentler. She touched my arm lightly. Okay. Not tonight. But one day. And the way she said it, so certain, made me wonder if she was right. Later, when I left her house and walked home in my hoodie and sneakers again, everything felt duller. Too loose, too plain. Like I was shrinking back into a smaller version of myself. And I hated that I noticed. The next time it happened, it wasn't planned. Or at least, it didn't feel that way. We were sprawled across her bed one lazy Saturday afternoon, half watching a movie neither of us cared about. She had a bowl of popcorn balanced between us, and every so often her hand brushed mine when we both reached for the same piece. Normally, I'd barely notice. But after everything she'd been doing, it felt different. Sharper. Halfway through the movie, she suddenly sat up. Pause. I just had an idea. I groaned. Oh no. That's never good. She smirked, ignoring me. We've tried outfits. We've done hair. But there's one thing missing. I frowned. What are you talking about? She leaned closer, eyes glinting. A name. A name? Obviously. If you're gonna look the part, you need a name to go with it. No offense, but Daniel doesn't exactly scream chic. I nearly choked on a kernel. Lily, I'm not, this isn't. She held up a hand, silencing me. Don't panic. It's just for fun. Like a character. Imagine we're writing a story and you're the main girl. What would her name be? I buried my face in a pillow. This is ridiculous. She tugged the pillow away, laughing. Come on. Play along. Just one name. My mind scrambled for an answer, but every possibility felt absurd. Before I could stammer something out, she snapped her fingers. Got it. Danny. I blinked. That's just my name without the L. Exactly, she said smugly. It's perfect. Cute, short, and still you. But softer. Danny, I repeated under my breath, testing the sound. And to my horror, it didn't feel wrong. It felt possible. She must have seen my expression, because she beamed. See? Told you. You're totally a Danny. From that moment on, she didn't let it go. Anytime she wanted my attention, she'd say it. Pass the popcorn, Danny. Your turn, Danny. You look tired, Danny. At first, I snapped back. Stop it. That's not my name. You're insane. But after an hour, the resistance drained away. It was easier just to let her call me that. Easier, and strangely nice. The real blow came at the end of the night. As I was leaving, she hugged me goodbye like she always did. But this time, she whispered it against my ear. Good night, girlfriend. I froze. my entire body went hot. I pulled back to glare at her, but she was already laughing, covering her mouth. Relax. I'm joking, she said, eyes twinkling. But the word clung to me all the way home. Girlfriend. I told myself it was just Lily being Lily, teasing, playful, nothing serious. And yet, when I crawled into bed that night, I whispered it to myself in the dark. Good night, girlfriend. And the shiver it sent through me was anything but a joke. The following week was when Lily stopped pretending this was just a joke. We were sitting at her vanity, the warm glow of her desk lamp painting her room in soft amber. She had already pulled my hair into a loose style that brushed my cheekbones and, with a wicked grin, smudged just enough color onto my lips to make me stare too long at the reflection. See? You're getting used to it, she teased, handing me the mirror. I scoffed, though my voice cracked. I'm tolerating it. She raised a brow. Is that what you call admiring yourself for the last 5 minutes? I set the mirror down too quickly, cheeks burning. I wasn't admiring. I was shocked. That's all. MHM, she leaned on her elbows, studying me like an artist deciding on the last stroke. Then, suddenly, she said it. You know what would make this even better? If you wore it, outside. The words hit me like ice water. What? Her smile widened. Not for long. Just a walk. No one would even notice. My pulse spiked. Are you insane? People would definitely notice. She tilted her head. Not if you believe it. Half the game is confidence. If you carry yourself like Danny, they'll see Danny. I shook my head fiercely. No way. Inside your room is one thing. Out there, I waved toward the window, that's impossible. For once, she didn't laugh. She just looked at me, eyes steady, like she was seeing through all my excuses. You're stronger than you think, she said softly. The room went quiet. I stared at the floor, my chest tightening with a cocktail of panic and longing. Because the terrifying truth was, a part of me wanted to try. She didn't press me that night. Instead, she let the idea dangle in the air, slipping it casually into conversation the way you might test the ripeness of fruit. When we sat on the couch watching TV, she'd murmur, that outfit would look so cute if we went to the cafe. When I picked up my nails, she'd smile and say, good thing Danny keeps her hands neat, people notice details when you're out. When I groaned and told her to quit it, she just winked. And slowly, the impossible began to feel less impossible. The breaking point came on a gray Sunday afternoon. We'd run out of snacks, and Lily tossed me her hoodie with a grin. Quick trip to the corner store, she said. I pulled it over my head, grateful for the cover. But as I glanced in the mirror, I realized something unsettling. With my hair still styled, the hoodie's oversized fit, and the faint trace of lip color I hadn't scrubbed off. I didn't look like Daniel at all. I looked like someone who could pass. Lily must have noticed my hesitation, because she slid up beside me and whispered, see? No one would ever know. My heart hammered against my ribs. This is crazy. Maybe, she admitted, tugging at the hood to frame my face. But don't you want to see? Just once. Her voice was coaxing, almost gentle, like she was offering me a secret door to a world I'd never dared to open. I swallowed hard. Every nerve in my body screamed to say no. To stay safe. To keep this between us, locked in the 4 walls of her room. But when she laced her fingers through mine, lightly, as if I could pull away at any moment, I didn't. And that was how I found myself standing on the threshold of her house, hood pulled up, heart racing so fast I thought it might give me away. Lily squeezed my hand once, her eyes sparkling with both mischief and reassurance. Ready, Danny? I wasn't ready. Not even close. But I nodded anyway. And we stepped outside. The first step onto the sidewalk felt heavier than it should have. Every sound, the crunch of gravel under my sneakers, the distant hum of traffic, even the flutter of leaves, seemed amplified, as if the whole world had turned to look at me. I tugged the hood lower over my face, heart pounding against my ribs like it wanted out. "This is insane," I whispered. Lily squeezed my hand gently, her voice low and steady. "Breathe. Nobody's staring. You look normal. More than normal, actually." I shot her a doubtful glance, but her smile was so calm, so sure, that it steadied me more than I expected. We started walking. Just a block. That was all she'd promised. But to me it felt like miles. Each person we passed was a storm of panic in my chest. The man jogging with earbuds. The old woman pulling her shopping cart. A couple walking their dog. I couldn't look at any of them, terrified they'd see through me, strip away the hood and the gloss and laugh at the boy pretending. But none of them did. They barely looked. The world kept moving, indifferent. And slowly, that panic began to unravel into something else. A flicker of disbelief. Then, relief. And, God help me, even the tiniest spark of pride. Halfway to the store, Lily nudged me with her shoulder. "You're doing amazing, you know." I let out a shaky laugh. "I feel like I'm about to collapse." "Yeah, but you're not." She grinned. "That's the point." Her words hit harder than I expected. She was right. I wasn't collapsing. My legs still worked. My voice hadn't cracked. The sky hadn't fallen. Somehow, impossibly, I was surviving this. And as we walked, I noticed something I hadn't dared to before. The breeze on my face, softer somehow. The way my hair brushed against my cheek, tickling in a way that made me bite back a smile. Even the faint weight of the gloss on my lips, it was strange, yes, but it made me feel, noticed. Like my body was paying attention to itself in a way it never had before. It was terrifying. But it was also exhilarating. When we finally reached the corner store, I froze outside the glass doors. "No way," I whispered. "Absolutely not." Lily looked at me like she'd expected this. She slipped her arm around my waist, casual, like we were just two friends. "You don't have to go in. Not today. Just, wait here. I'll grab the snacks." I nodded quickly, too grateful to argue. As she disappeared inside, I leaned against the wall, heart still hammering. That was when it happened. A group of teenagers walked past, laughing too loudly. I tensed, bracing for it, the joke, the sneer, the word that would shatter this fragile illusion. But they didn't even glance at me. One of them, a girl with a ponytail, actually smiled as she passed. Not a mocking smile. Just, normal. Friendly. For a moment I couldn't breathe. She'd seen me. And she hadn't seen Daniel. She'd seen her. Danny. And she'd smiled. The thought lodged in my chest like a spark catching kindling. By the time Lily came back out, arms full of chips and sodas, I was buzzing with a strange energy I couldn't name. She looked at me closely, then grinned. "You're glowing," she said. I rolled my eyes, but my cheeks burned. "Shut up." "No, really. I've never seen you like this." She nudged the door open with her hip, motioning for me to start walking again. "Admit it, you liked it." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because deep down, I knew she was right. The fear was still there, yes. But threaded through it now was something far more dangerous. I'd liked being Danny out there. I'd liked being seen. That night, back in her room, I couldn't stop replaying it. The walk. The smile from that stranger. The way Lily had looked at me like I was someone entirely new. I lay awake long after she'd fallen asleep, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, I wasn't asking myself why am I doing this? I was asking myself what if I did it again? The next morning, Lily was already waiting for me. She sat cross-legged on her bed with a mischievous look, a little pile of clothes stacked neatly beside her. I knew that look too well. It was the look she gave when she was about to talk me into something I swore I'd never do. I groaned. Please tell me that's your laundry and not what I think it is. She raised an eyebrow. What do you think it is? I stared at the pile. A soft cardigan. A pleated skirt. Something lacy I refused to identify. I buried my face in my hands. You're relentless. And you, she said sweetly, are glowing after yesterday. Don't think I didn't notice. She wasn't wrong. I'd tried to deny it, tried to push it down, but that memory kept returning, the way nobody had questioned me, the way that girl had smiled. It felt dangerous to admit it out loud, but it was there, thrumming like a secret I didn't know how to hold. Lily saw it in me, even if I couldn't say it. And she was patient, careful, but also unstoppable. Just try one thing, she coaxed, holding up the cardigan. It was pale lavender, softer than anything I'd ever worn. You don't have to go anywhere. Just here. Just us. I hesitated. My excuses felt thinner than ever. And so I gave in. The fabric slid over my arms, warm and feather-light. It clung differently than a hoodie, closer, more delicate. I looked down at myself and almost laughed from the strangeness of it. But Lily's eyes lit up. Oh my God. That's perfect. You look, she stopped herself, but I caught the word hovering on her tongue. Beautiful. My stomach flipped. From there, it was like a dam had cracked. Not broken completely, just enough for the water to slip through. She held out the skirt next. I shook my head furiously, but even as I did, I felt the ground shifting beneath me. Yesterday I wouldn't have even entertained the thought. But now? Now I found myself whispering, what if it doesn't fit? Lily's grin widened. Then we'll find one that does. Minutes later, the skirt rested against my knees. I stood awkwardly, tugging at the hem, but Lily clasped her hands together like she was looking at a masterpiece. You're actually pulling this off, she said softly. Like, scarily well. Heat surged to my cheeks. Don't mess with me. I'm not. Her voice had gone serious now, almost tender. You really don't see it, do you? I couldn't answer. Because the mirror across the room was answering for me. The reflection wasn't Daniel in borrowed clothes. It was someone else. Someone softer, quieter, but strangely confident. It was Danny. The realization was a jolt. Half pride, half fear. Because if I liked this, if I really liked this, then what did it mean? Lily must have seen the storm on my face, because she came closer and touched my arm gently. Hey. No pressure. You can stop anytime. But I didn't move. I didn't want to. That truth alone terrified me more than anything. We spent the rest of the afternoon experimenting. Lip gloss shades. Hair pinned up in different ways. Lily fussed like a stylist before a fashion show, and I let her, too caught between dread and fascination to pull away. At some point, laughter slipped between us, light, easy, almost normal. I caught myself smiling in the mirror, and for once it wasn't forced. For a few hours, I wasn't running from the reflection. I was chasing it. That night, when I finally collapsed onto her bed in full exhaustion, Lily stretched out beside me with a sly grin. You know what this means, right? She whispered. What? My voice was muffled against the pillow. You're hooked. I rolled my eyes, but the protest never came. Because maybe, just maybe, she was right. And the scariest part was, I didn't hate the idea. The bubble burst sooner than I expected. Up until then, it had just been me and Lily, tucked away in her room, playing with cardigans, skirts, and secrets. Safe. Untouchable. But secrets never stay hidden for long. It happened on a Saturday. We weren't even doing anything risky. Just music on low, Lily humming while she braided my hair. I was in that lavender cardigan again, the one I pretended to hate but kept reaching for. And then? Her brother knocked once, then pushed the door open before either of us could react. Lily, have you seen? He froze. His words died. His eyes landed on me. The braid half done. The cardigan. The unmistakable skirt around my legs. My heart stopped. I scrambled up, nearly tripping over myself. It's not, I can explain. But the words tangled, useless. Lily's brother blinked, opened his mouth, then closed it again. He looked, not angry, not mocking, just stunned. And somehow, that was worse. Out, Lily said firmly, her voice steel. Now. He hesitated, glanced between us, then backed out slowly, shutting the door with a soft click. The silence that followed was deafening. I turned on Lily, panic spilling out. Oh my God. He saw. He saw everything. Hey, breathe. She reached for me, but I flinched away. No, you don't get it. This isn't funny anymore. People are going to know. They're going to. My throat closed up, hot and tight. I can't do this. The reflection in the mirror caught my eye, braid half done, face flushed, cardigan slipping off my shoulder. Not Daniel. Not quite Danny either. Someone caught between, looking terrified. I hated it. I loved it. I didn't know which feeling was worse. Lily's voice broke through, soft but steady. It's okay. He's not going to say anything. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He's my brother. And honestly? He's not stupid. He saw you, but he didn't laugh. He didn't judge. He just saw. Her words should have calmed me. But instead, they cracked something open. Because maybe that was what terrified me most. Not ridicule. Not rejection. But being seen. I collapsed onto the bed, burying my face in my hands. Why am I like this? Why does it feel good? It's not supposed to. I'm not supposed to. The confession came out raw, desperate. Lily sat beside me, her hand resting gently on my back. Who told you what you're supposed to be? I had no answer. Tears burned at the corners of my eyes, uninvited. I bit them back, but my voice cracked anyway. I don't even know who I am anymore. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The weight of my words hung heavy in the air. Then Lily whispered, maybe that's the best part. You don't have to know right now. You just have to let yourself be. Her kindness was almost unbearable. Because some part of me wanted to believe her. Wanted to lean into the warmth of her words, her hand, her presence. But another part of me was screaming. If I accepted this, if I embraced this, what would it make me? Who would I become? The questions clawed at me until I couldn't sit still. I shot up, pacing, tugging at the cardigan like it was burning me. I can't, I whispered hoarsely. I can't do this. The room spun with panic. The safety I'd felt crumbled like paper. For the first time I wanted to run. And Lily, bless her, didn't stop me. She just said softly, then run if you need to. But you'll come back. I know you will. Her certainty hit me like a punch. Because deep down, I knew she was right. That night, I walked home in a storm of thoughts, my reflection haunting me in every dark window I passed. Who was I? Daniel? Danny? Neither? Both? By the time I crawled into bed, I didn't have answers. Only questions that kept me awake until dawn. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lily's brother's face. Not laughing. Not cruel. Just seeing me. And somehow, that was worse than if he'd mocked me. Because it meant this wasn't a game anymore. It was real. By morning, my chest felt heavy. I dragged myself out of bed, avoiding the mirror like it might betray me. But the truth is, I didn't need the mirror. The image of myself, half-braided hair, cardigan slipping down my shoulder, was burned into my mind. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't erase it. Worse than that. I didn't want to. Lily texted around noon. You okay? I stared at the screen for 5 minutes before typing back. I don't know. She didn't push. Just, come over if you want. I almost didn't. But by late afternoon, my feet carried me there anyway. When she opened the door, her smile was soft, careful. Hey. I couldn't meet her eyes. Hey. We went upstairs in silence. Her room looked the same, but it felt different, like the air was heavier, charged. Finally, I blurted out, "Why are you doing this to me?" Lily blinked. Doing what? This, I gestured vaguely at myself, at her, at everything. The clothes. The names. The Danny thing. My voice cracked. You're messing with me. For a second, her face hardened, but then it softened again. She shook her head. No. I'm not messing with you. I'm seeing you. My stomach twisted. You don't get it. If I keep going down this road, I don't know who I'll be. People will laugh. They'll hate me. I'll hate me. Her voice sharpened, cutting through my panic. Then stop hiding. You're already Danny. You just don't want to admit it. The words hit me like a slap. I turned away, my fists clenched. Don't say that. Why not? It's the truth. It's not, my throat closed. My chest ached. The tears I'd been holding back all day broke free. It's not supposed to be me. The sob tore out before I could stop it. In an instant, Lily's arms were around me. I sank into her without meaning to, shaking, gasping. She held me like she'd been waiting for me to fall apart. Like she knew this moment had been coming all along. Her whisper was warm against my hair. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to stop fighting yourself. The words wrapped around me like a blanket. And slowly, painfully, I realized what scared me most wasn't the cardigan or the braid or the skirt. It was how right it all felt. Like I was slipping into a version of myself I'd been avoiding for years. When I finally pulled back, my face was wet, my voice raw. What if I lose myself? Lily brushed a tear from my cheek. Maybe you're not losing yourself. Maybe you're finding her. Her. The word lingered between us like a spark. Silence stretched. Then, with trembling fingers, Lily picked up the cardigan from the chair and held it out. You don't have to put it on. But if you want to, she trailed off. I stared at it. My pulse hammered in my ears. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was pretending. I wasn't dressing up. I wasn't faking. I was choosing. Slowly, I slipped my arms into the sleeves. The fabric settled over my shoulders like it belonged there. I met Lily's eyes. And this time, I didn't look away. In that moment, the fear didn't vanish, but it softened. Because maybe I didn't have to decide everything right now. Maybe I just had to take the next step. The next few days felt different. I kept waiting for the shame to come rushing back, to crush me the way it always did. But instead, something else lingered in its place. A quiet hum. A kind of fragile peace. Not because everything was solved. Far from it. But because I'd made a choice, my choice. And once you take that first real step, it changes how you see the path ahead. At school, things were normal on the surface. Classes, homework, cafeteria chatter. Nobody said anything about me. Nobody looked twice. But inside, I felt like I was carrying a secret too bright to stay hidden forever. A secret that wasn't just a secret, it was me. And that scared me almost as much as it thrilled me. That Friday, Lily and I sat on her bedroom floor, our backs against the bed. She was painting her nails, casual as ever, like nothing earth-shattering had happened earlier that week. But for me, the air between us was charged. I fiddled with a loose thread on my jeans. So, what happens now? She blew on her nails, smirking. Now? We keep going. Step by step. My chest tightened. And if I don't want to? She glanced at me, eyes soft. Then we stop. It's your call, Danny. The way she said my name, Danny, still sent shivers down me. Like it was mine, truly mine, in a way my old name never was. I hesitated. Then, quieter than a whisper, what if people find out? Lily shrugged. Then they find out. And maybe they surprise you. Or maybe they don't. But either way, you won't be alone. Her words settled into me. Heavy. Comforting. Terrifying. Because that was the truth, wasn't it? Alone was the only thing I was really afraid of. A week later, the opportunity, or maybe the test, came sooner than I expected. Lily dragged me to a small house party. Just a few people, she promised. Low-key. I didn't realize until we got there that she'd packed something extra in her bag for me. When she pulled out a simple black skirt and a soft lilac sweater, my stomach dropped. Lily, no. She held up her hands. You don't have to. But I thought, maybe you'd want the choice. Choice. That word again. I stared at the outfit for what felt like forever. My pulse thundered in my ears. And then, with shaking hands, I took it. The party wasn't huge, just a dozen people, music playing softly, lights dim. Nobody paid much attention when we walked in. But to me, every second felt magnified. Every laugh, every glance. I stayed close to Lily, clutching my cup like it was a lifeline. And then something strange happened. No one pointed. No one laughed. No one cared. Someone even complimented my sweater. Just casually, like it was the most normal thing in the world. For the first time, I realized, maybe it was. Later that night, as we walked home under the streetlights, I couldn't stop smiling. Lily bumped my shoulder with hers. See? Unreal, right? I laughed, breathless. Yeah. Unreal. But deep down, I knew it wasn't unreal at all. It was the realest thing I'd ever felt. Back in my room, I sat in front of the mirror. The skirt. The sweater. The faint trace of Lily's lipstick still on my lips. And for the first time, I didn't see a stranger staring back. I saw someone in the middle of becoming. Someone who wasn't finished yet, but who finally felt possible. I whispered it out loud, testing the sound. Danny. And the girl in the mirror smiled. The next morning, I woke up scared all over again. The doubts rushed back like they always did. But this time, something had changed. This time, I had proof. Proof that I could step into this version of myself and survive. More than survive. I could live. The world hadn't ended. People hadn't torn me apart. And even if they did someday, I knew I had Lily. I wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to keep going. So here's the truth I never thought I'd admit. She styled me as her girlfriend. But somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending. Because the results weren't unreal at all. They were me. And for the first time, that felt like enough.